Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Evil Within, the assignment DLC, KURAYAMI difficulty video walkthrough. I am yet to realise if I'm saying that right. I can't remember the spelling and it hasn't showed up in the game. I think it's that. I think there's an I on the end. I want to say Kurayama, but I think it's Yami. Either way, you know what it is. It's the other difficult. There's only two, dudes. Only two. You can't choose. You know, you have to beat the game before you even get that privilege. But here's an interesting sequence. This is one of the trickier aspects of Chapter 1. You're going to be going through this area, powering up this keycard, a la Metal Gear Solid back in the day. Only it won't be blast furnaces and crazy Vulcan Raven rooms. It's going to be this kind of compound filled with these creatures that I think are called cadavers. They're mutated corpses that have these crazy hooked ribs coming out of their bodies, and for whatever reason they explode. You know, movie logic. Just like every car that flips, these creatures just have this capacity to detonate themselves. And they're blind, so it leads to these interesting situations where as long as you're quiet, you can do some pretty damn exploitative things to them. And thanks to my toils on my first playthrough, I had a really successful pattern for this, and alas, I had absolutely no issue recording it on this difficulty, which is really nice. But this is the introduction to them. Nicole Kidman's going to bang her arm in there, and this creature's going to turn up, but you're not going to be able to see it too much because, of course, the lighting is rapidly different. But as you see, it's a pretty nasty looking thing. If they get to you, you're dead. There's no two words about it. There are no upgrades in this campaign. You know, there are no ways to make yourself better because they're not really needed. You don't use a firearm outside of a scripted sequence. It's kind of strange. I'm very tempted as well to test out the scripted sequence because you can shoot the creature, the lighthouse monster, on top of this bridge. But I don't know if you have to, because after a while it drops down, and at that point you can shoot it to make it run away. And I'm curious whether or not you've got to kill a certain amount of enemies, or if it's a certain amount of time, or if you have to do a certain damage threshold to the creature on the bridge. Suffice to say, I will know very shortly, and you'll see that when I can get that uploaded to you. But this torch is a godsend, and I was kind of afraid that this would be tricky to watch, but judging from this, it's going to be just as tricky to watch as it is to play, and you know, it is what it is. This is what the game looks like, guys. I've even got the brightness on a little bit higher than the one the game specifies. But the colour coding on this creature, on the cadavers, when they're yellow it means that they're alerted but they don't know where you are. When they're red it means they know where you are and you're in danger. When they're just like this, they generally have a set routine of either feeding or moving in a pattern. Do not go up against cover there. If you do, Kidman has this habit of getting a little speed boost when you come out of it, which will force you into the creature if you're not careful, and it'll maul you and kill you. So I avoid cover, I dance with the devil, I grab the bottle, and I'm going to use it to get rid of the final guy. Collectibles wise, this DLC seems pretty simple. I missed one of the safes, and I missed, I think, one piece of research. Everything else was fine, so in a subsequent playthrough I'm sure that I'll be able to grab that with no problem, and it'll give me an excuse to bomb back through the campaign and get a little bit more of that value for money. Do I think it's worth it? It's probably a good question, as we use a distraction to make it move so we can get past it. I think it depends on who you are. I think the best and worst part of this first DLC is the fact that you don't shoot things, that it doesn't have combat, traditional combat. I personally play Evil Within for combat, so to me, I would have liked it to be a little bit more traditional, because then I would have got more replay value out of it, because I like killing stuff and I like doing it effectively and experimenting with guns and doing the Evil Within experience. On the flip side, I think it's really endearing that they decided not to do that, and I do think that it's going to throw a lot of people off, because they're not expecting it, and I wasn't expecting it, especially when I saw stealth and I saw cover and I saw all that. You know, I was really curious what the hell was going on, and they kept it for the full duration, which means that they committed to this idea and this concept, and this is what it came out to be, and I've had a ton of fun today. So if you can afford it and you want some more Evil Within, I think you should definitely look into it. If you don't think 3 hours on a playthrough is long enough and you're not a big fan of stealth, it might be worth waiting for a discount, or maybe if they release a definitive edition in 8 months or so, maybe pick it up then. But it's interesting, and I think that that's the best thing it has going for it. But once we've moved into this room, we're going to pick up a bottle, we're going to use that to distract somebody later on, and then if you push this, you can kill one of the cadavers for free. So that's going to get rid of him. He was in the way. We're going to get covered in filth, grime, blood, and brain matter, or whatever the hell that is that's on her face. Symbiotic fluid. Lovely. And then we're at the peril of these alternating doors. So I don't know if these doors can kill you, but I would guess that they can. Because it's that kind of game, folks. How many times did you die on a Kumu mode? It's that kind of game. But the cadavers move deceptively quick here, and sometimes their pattern will alternate differently to what you just witnessed. Sometimes they double back on themselves, sometimes they do a sharper circle. Suffice to say, you might get grabbed 1 or 2 times getting a good path. I think the difficulty here is definitely manageable. Way more manageable than I expected. And to give you some contrast of difficulty-wise, on this entire episode, this entire chapter, I didn't die. I got damaged once, and it was the very first corpse on the ground who grabbed me. And I suicided to get back from the checkpoints so that I could have a cleaner path through that room, because there was no reason for him to grab me. It was the very first body. And yeah, very manageable, guys. Chapter 2 has a boss fight, as I've mentioned, that could be a little trickier, but I don't imagine it to be too bad. And then after that, I've got some really good paths, like I say. The trauma room shouldn't be too bad. You can hear the traumas a mile off because they make a ton of noise. I've got a really good pattern there. And then getting to the bell is quite simple. I've got a really good pattern there with the bottle. And yeah. You probably won't even need this walkthrough, but you might be here listening just to see what I do and see how I do it differently to you. Who knows? This is kind of cheeky. When you get to the elevator, it's going to open and a dude's going to rush out. He's alert immediately, so what you want to do is you want to just run past him. And as soon as you're in the elevator, it's going to kind of shut the door. And there you go. You're nice and safe. So, for some reason, the elevators on this DLC take forever, so I'm going to use crossfades to get rid of the transitions. We're talking 40 seconds to a minute just for it to be tense or to build atmosphere. I couldn't honestly tell you. It might be buffering loading. But now that we've changed our biometrics, we can now use these doors. And it's going to be pushing us into the server room fight with the lighthouse face, which was a sequence I was kind of worried about, because I thought when it saw you it was instantly fail, but that's not the case, as you're about to see. So this is a room that is very intimidating, but absolutely nothing happens in it, and the moment you realise that there's nothing to fear, that you're not in danger, it's incredibly empowering and you can sprint through it as if it was never there. But here comes the room. Just checking. Apparently this torch shows you alternative paths, but I think the paths are always marked with that symbol of I think it's the Mobius Corporation, which is the crazy T from the logo design for The Evil Within. So it's a really cool one. It's kind of like a nail. I'm sure you've seen it. But here we go, folks. The finale. This is a timed hide-and-seek room. When you touch... I mean, as soon as I got in this room, I knew exactly what it was going to be on my first playthrough. As soon as I saw those green bars, I knew exactly what was going to go down here. As soon as I saw the servers, it's so predictable. And I went and hid the exact spot where the creature comes out, because that's my luck on my first turn here. And I died instantly. Because I assumed when she spotted you it was over, and I didn't try to run away. But this is actually kind of easier than it was before. When it gets tricky is when she turns her light off. When her light is on, it's easy because you can just look for the light in the darkness. The darkness really helps you. But she turns her light off, I lose track of her, and then I think she turns it back on and she's behind me. So let's have a look. 39 seconds we were on there. 9 minutes 39 seconds. Let's see how long this takes. So she goes over her there. Pattern's completely random, guys. I've seen her do several different things. There's the light. See how close it is. Always try and keep a server between you and her. She's looking down here. She stays looking down here for quite some time. What's she doing? So she's coming this way, so I'm going to teeter up here a little bit. Every so often she gets a little speed boost. It can be really deceptive in the ground that she covers, and I don't know if the AI is bullshit here, but it kind of seems like they know where you are at times, and they're eking the way towards you in a almost omniscient way. But I think this is where I lose track of her. Yeah, do you notice how there's no lance of light in the arena? She's turned her light off. And I have no idea where she is, and then it's back on then. It's on me, I need to move, and she sees me. There's the alarm. Now I have to run. I run towards the door because I was hoping it had come. It didn't come. She's just there, and if you get out of her reach quick enough, come on, run, you silly lady, you should be able to put a server between you and her, and she will lose sight of you and the light will go yellow. So, tips to avoid that situation if you can't, recover like I just did. When she turns the light off, be super aware. I was listening to Darkside Phil play Minecraft. If I'd have had my headphones in, I'd have been able to hear exactly where she was, and she wouldn't have snuck up on me. That's not an excuse, folks. It's a fact. But as soon as the elevator comes down, move over to it, hit it up, and it's going to do this regardless, this little cinematic. Oh no, there she is, in suspenders, looking graceful. See you later. And that's the end of a potentially tricky sequence that I did one take, baby. This entire run, one take. Which, once again, if that doesn't give you confidence, I don't know what does. Akumu mode was not one take, boys. If I'd have done one take, I would have died on the first chapter. The end of the guide would have been the very first enemy. Which is it true that? Because you get attacked and you only have a few bullets, don't you? So I was trying to punch him and I think he grabbed me and murdered me. So as a consumer, I think I'm happy with this DLC. I'm looking forward to going back into it and discovering things that I've missed, that I've not seen, going down avenues that I've not ventured. As a guide maker, I'm disappointed. The Evil Within has been one of my successful projects. It's been one of the biggest ones I've done in a while. And it's because it was difficult. It's because people were having a tough time with it. And I was hoping that the DLC would retread those, those challenging steps, and that people would once again be able to go back to the source of, salvation when they were frustrated, and I could help them through this. But it is generally dawning on me when I can do an entire chapter of a game without even failing, that other people will be able to do the exact same, and the people who do check this out will be the ones who are interested in my opinions, interested in what I have to say, or the ones who got into a situation that was kind of tricky and they wanted a quick exit. Everybody else is probably going to have no issue here, and as much as it saddens me, it's uplifting for the people who don't like the struggle. Not everybody wants to get completely brutalized on a video game. Some people just want to be able to beat it, explore it, enjoy it, and then trade it in and get something different. But that is the end of the chapter, folks. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the final chapter. You take care now.